masters, the old heads, talk about what you love the most. Video games, comics, movies, and everything you need to maintain. We got the knowledge that's straight out the ether. Gonna need a drink and I just take a seat to expand your mind and listen to the speaker. Mike and the squad's gonna give you what you need. Please send in the question, come and get some answers, learn a couple lessons. From the masters with the special guests, we got the green lanterns glowing on their chest. Yes, please sit back and relax, cause we gonna hit you with some stone cold facts. And allow me to be the very first to welcome you to the masters of the Nerdiverse. Hello, welcome back, Nerdiverse. 'Tis I, the master of the Nerdiverse himself, Mike G, hanging out with y'all to start our most recent episode of Figured It Out, where I get to wax poetically about some of my favorite things to collect in the collector industry. Thank you everyone who will be watching this. Thank you for all of those who will stop by the stream as we go through some great news today. Definitely want to test the chat, make sure we're good to go there. Believe we are. So I just want to make sure everyone is able to get in here and give people some time to come to the chat and chill out and be able to hang out for us tonight. As always, this is definitely a live stream, so we hang out here and are able to just talk figures. So it's more a reason for me to talk about the figures that I love and be able to go over these things with you. So we have a lot of good updates for this episode. This episode has been a long time coming. Hey Toots, what's going on? What's cracking? Thank you for stopping by. Keep me honest. Tell me how the stream looks. Do we look good? Do we sound good? Please keep me honest as we are still working out the kinks of this new system. So, everything looks fine. Everything looks good. I'm gonna crack a drink real quick. I hope you heard that. And we're gonna go ahead and just dive right in, shall we? Oh, Sprite. What's more tastier than a Sprite? I just don't know. So the name of the episode today, episode 6, also known as the Agent Hulk. So we're going to be talking about a couple of new announcements, some releases, and some overall news in the collecting industry, the 1/6 scale industry. As you can see, that is not a still from the movie Captain America: A New Order. That is the not the Incredible Hulk, the Red Hulk, 1/6 scale figure from Hot Toys. This one is gonna have people going crazy. Jojo, what's going on, bro? Tell me how we look. Tell me how we sound. Let me know if we're looking good, sounding good. And the figure next to him is an interesting release. It's a character that makes sense to do in a comic book space, and he just looks badass, and that is the Agent Venom, also known as Flash Thompson in the symbiote suit. As always, I'm going to be going through my thoughts on these figures, going to details of the actual figure itself, my thoughts on that, as well as just a little bit of lore on the characters as it fits. If you have any questions, please let me know. Let's go ahead and get started. Perfect. So today, we're taking a look at the Red Hulk announcement. This has been teased. Thank you, sir. Thank you for confirming. This was teased a few weeks ago, actually, with just kind of like a single shot of the Hulk's abs, his undefeatable abs. And we finally got an announcement rather, of the Red Hulk, Harrison Ford himself. Right off the bat, I think this sculpt looks insane. I think the likeness of Harrison Ford is there. I love that the choices of head sculpts they went with I'm mad or I'm equally more mad, which is always fun. as well as some of the things I don't like about the sculpt, which I'll go into in further detail. But as you can see on the image of the left, this is all he comes with. He's pretty bare bones, and most Hulks are like that, because Hulks don't really have, they are the weapon, so they don't come with a lot of accessories. I don't even think this guy comes with a base. He's so mad, Toots. He's so red. He's infinitely red. He's more red than us. And with the black pants. I wish they would have gave him like some fire effects or something, because one theme about the Red Hulk is that with the regular Hulk, the madder Hulk gets, the stronger Hulk gets. But with the Red Hulk, the madder the Red Hulk gets, the hotter he gets, like atomic hot. So if they would have gave him like some fire effects or fire coming off of him, that would have been neat, a nice little addition. But those effects are tough to do, so I guess I understand why they didn't really do them. He doesn't come with a lot. He comes with an array of hands, and that's it. He pretty much comes solo dolo. Let's go on to the next slide here. Perfect. So, interesting about this figure is that it just, look at that head sculpt, look at that likeness. It's so insane. The hair looks great, even though it looks kind of bowl cutty, but the Hulk's had a bowl cut before. But this isn't necessarily comic accurate to the Red Hulk cut, which is more of like a slick back. I recently did a Red Hulk art on a previous Figured It Out, please watch that episode, where I just did some quick drawing for that episode. But with this figure, it speaks for itself. This thing is a huge boy. I think it's like 18 inches tall. So it's more than a foot. It's bigger than a foot. So have fun finding space in your collection. You can see on the image of the right, top right, that they're setting him up next against the old school Avengers 1 Hulk. And you can see kind of the innovations there in the redesign and lack thereof of the new Hulk versus the old Hulk. Edgar haircut, deadass. And one things I don't like, but it's kind of like, what are you gonna do, is the seams. You know what I mean? The seams on the shoulders, and especially the seams on his knees. He has sensitive knees. With that, it's tough because you need articulation and you want your figure to be able to last. But at the same time, the main goal of Hot Toys and the main goal of collectors is to have the figure look as lifelike as possible, barring, you know, having a small human on your shelf. That's really what we're all trying to go for, and Hot Toys normally makes painstaking innovations to try to capture that realism as much as possible. With this figure, it's really, you can tell they really went for it. There are seamless arms, which are probably medical grade silicone. You gotta be careful with that because that stuff does tend to tear and break. I'm sure the stomach is like kind of mushy and articulatable, but you can see the seams in the shoulders. You can especially see the seams in the knees. So good old Thunderbolt Ross here. There are some things I think they can innovate on in the future, trying to get that seamless look down, but you sacrifice that because this figure, I don't know if he can even lift his arms above his head without it looking a little jank, or how far his knee can articulate without it looking clean. So you kind of take the good, you take the bad, because at the end of the day, it is a hot toy. It's still a figure that's supposed to be flexible. If you want complete seamless, buy a statue. But I think Hot Toys are in art, or even J&D for that matter, have yet to kind of find the best of all worlds, you know what I mean, and make the perfect figure. So, and there's no cutting corners with a figure like this. There's no sleeves or you know, vests or anything to hide the seams. Kind of like with Thanos, with the Infinity War Thanos. It's easier to make that look seamless because Thanos had a vest on. Be my vest. Whereas this guy, it's all out there. It's just bare chested, you know, torn up jorts. He's ready to rock and roll. So I guess what it boils down to, and I think what I'm going to do with these is, would Mike G buy it? Would I purchase this? Honestly, I don't think I would. Only because I don't have any Hulks to match with it. And if I was to go for like a Dark Avengers, maybe like slapstick team up, There's a lot of heroes they would have to do for this Red Hulk to make sense. Even the Thunderbolts, the comic book version, where he's a member, there's a lot of heroes they would have to get right. So for me, this is a pass, but is it an excellent sculpt? Is it an excellent figure? Hell yeah. And if you want to have your very first Hulk in your collection, this is not a bad Hulk to start, because She-Hulk is floating out there, and I think this Hulk gives us hope for future Hulks. You know, maybe a artisan regular Hulk from Avengers 1, or whatever the future holds with Secret Wars or anything like that. So chat, let me know if you have any last thoughts about this figure. What do you think it looks? Does it look cool? Does it not? And then we'll move on to the next subject. But for me, I'm okay on it. I think the likeness is amazing. I think they're just doing such a great job at getting these likenesses down and really working on their plastic head sculpts versus the artisan wool hair, which is a lower in volume, and B, it's harder to deal with. I'll go plastic hair over artisan any day of the week. So that's Red Hulk. Yeah, we're gonna move on to the next figure, which I think a lot of people may be interested to see. I sure was interested to see it when it popped up, and that is good old Mr. Freeze. Good old Arnold here. This was just announced like yesterday or the day before, and my goodness, look at him in all of his corny glory. I, for one, am excited just for the concept of them saying, you know what, Batman and Robin holds a place in a lot of people's heart, and this is a figure that I believe is going to be a grail. I think people are going to sleep on this because, oh, Batman and Robin killed Batman for a decade. Yeah, it did. Bradley, what's going on, B? Welcome to the show. Welcome back. Yeah, we're talking about Mr. Freeze, bro. You know, what killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age. You know, we're talking about this brand new announcement that has me jazzed, because if they'll do this, they'll do anything. But it's interesting because I'm going to go into the next slide here. This is also made by Hot Toys, just to go into some more details about the figure. So this guy has a little bit of everything. I believe he's USB light up, so you don't have to deal with any kind of janky batteries or anything like that. He comes with rotating eyes, full accoutrement of weapons. You saw the wings in the previous image, and he even has like a little icy base, which I think is a remake of another base they did for like an XO Batman. But you know, they gotta recycle these things. I am psyched. Like, I wasn't gonna get the Clooney Batman, but I'm kind of tempted with this one. It seems like they got a hold on the Arnold likeness, because they just recently did the whole Terminator line that they announced with the T-800 and Battle Damage T-800. So it seems like they really got a lock on that Arnold likeness for now, and just going crazy with it. So we may see a Dutch from Predator. I would love to see Last Action Hero. That would be a sick 1/6 scale figure, I think. But on to this guy. I am one of those people I am a Batman and Robin apologist, only because when I was a kid, this came out and I was hyped for it, and I didn't know it was bad, right? You don't know it's bad until years later. So I was hyped for Poison Ivy and Bane, and especially Arnold's Mr. Freeze. He even comes with the little glasses he wears in the first reel of the film. I don't think this guy's full diecast. I think some parts are diecast, which is why the price tag is so high. But I would want, at the end of the day, I might get this, dude, because it's so cool. I think this is going to be, it's literally cool, no pun intended. I think this is going to be a shelf stealer. I think it's light up or bust. So, like you see my guys back there lit up, you have to find a way to keep this guy lit up when it's time to light him up. Because I think with the light up effects, it's going to look insane. Especially next to the Clooney Batman and the O'Donnell Robin. I think that's a shelf, man. That's a shelf all day. I'll buy that for $1. My only problem is that I have a lot of Batman in my collection. I have a hell of a lot of Batman in my collection. I have the '89 Batman. I have the Pattinson Batman with the Riddler. And the only other Batman figure I'm really in the market for, fingers and toes crossed, is a 1989 Joker to pair with my 1989 Batman. And then honestly, my collection would be complete, like Ariel said. But Batman is such a tricky character because I've been eyeing the new 2.0 Heath Ledger Joker, and I kind of want to get it. But this, I could see this in anybody's collection going crazy, going bananas for this figure. At the end of the day, would I get it? Yes, I would super get this. In fact, I'm kind of wanting it, only because it's super nostalgic. I want Arnold in my collection somewhere. You know what I mean? And I'm kind of skipping on the whole Terminator line because honestly, T2, as excellent as a movie as it wasn't big in my house. I mean, it was cool to watch every once in a while, but it wasn't like The Predator. You know what I mean? Where Dutch was the man, and I'm waiting for a Dutch. So if they're making any other Arnold sculpts, I hope they do Dutch so I can get a Predator. Give me an excuse to do a Predator. Let's talk about the head sculpt for a second. I think this head sculpt looks better than the T800 head sculpt. I think it looks cleaner. I think it looks more like Arnold. Is it a stoic look? Yeah. I don't think you can do multiple head sculpts with a figure like this. I wonder how you're going to get that helmet off and on. I wonder if you just plug it in or can it come off or how that works. But what's crazy about this figure is that there's actually a third party Mr. Freeze with a robe. That's pretty neat. So I wonder if you could take all that crap off of his head and use that head sculpt for the robe Mr. Freeze and have dual Freezies, dual Icies ready to rock and roll. So if you ask me, you probably could tell I'm really up on this figure. This is one where people have been wanting this for a while because it's so weird, and it gives me hope for a Poison Ivy. I would love an artist in Poison Ivy. And one thing I've always said is that Hot Toys does a lot of the heroes, but they very rarely do the villains. They never do the villains. So it's good to see them not dipping their toe in the villain pool, because I think Batman is nothing without his villains. And I think every iteration of Batman needs to have a good gallery of villains for that respective Batman. Like, I know that Jazz Inc. is doing the Catwoman that's coming out soon. And I also know that Jazz Inc. is also doing the Penguin from Batman Returns. That's going to go with the upcoming 2.0 of the Batman Returns, Michael Keaton. I'm not getting that. I'm happy with my 89. But if they could do a 2.0 of Nicholson Joker, I would eat that up immediately. That would be a day one, no questions asked. But for the other Batman, like Val Kilmer, I do know they have that Sonar Batman and Robin running around out there. That's super cheap to get where you can find it. But if they were to do like a Harvey Two-Face with like the likeness of Tommy Lee Jones, I know there's some third-party Jokers out there. Not Jokers, third-party Riddlers of Jim Carrey. But I think if you gave Hot Toys a Jim Carrey head sculpt, I just don't know why there isn't any Jim Carrey Hot Toys, dude. Like, I would want a mask so bad. Like, I would want the mask so bad. I would want the Riddler so bad. I would want an Ace Ventura. What sucks is they just came up with a third-party Ace Ventura of him at the mental institution, and it looks horrible. It looks bad. It looks cheap. So if you were to give like a Carrey head sculpt to the Imagineers at Hot Toys and say, hey, do a mask, do an Ace Ventura, do a Joker, that would go nuts. That would go nuts in the industry, in the community, because Jim Carrey is just one of those actors that was with all of us when we were younger, just thinking about some of his greatest hits. And for me, it would be the mask. I would want the mask so bad. I know there's a 6-scale mask out there that looks good, and it's one of those where it's like I'm always on the fence about it because it's going to be hard to find and double the price. But if Hot Toys was to take the reins and give us a Jim Carrey head sculpt, I would be over the moon. But that being said, just closing out my thoughts on this Mr. Freeze. Would I buy it? Yes. If you're interested in this, get it, because I promise you this is going to sell out quick and it's going to be a grail. And when I say grail, I mean it's going to be hard to find. Once it's gone, this is already going for like 400, I believe, on Sideshow. So third party, it's gonna be at 500 or 600. I promise you. All that die cast, the light up, USB features, Arnold likeness. People, it's gonna go crazy in the streets for this one. So get it if you want it. Collect it if you want it. Me personally, I'm gonna skip it for now because I just don't have space for it. Let's go on to our next slide. So yeah, let's talk about the Agent Venom figure from Hot Toys. Hot Toys does this every once in a while. Well, they'll do I would say a cartoon line where it's not based on any film, it's not based on any video game, it's just based on the comics. And there's a few figures that they did that with. There's an OG Spider-Man that's like that. They're coming off the Doctor Doom that's like that. They're even doing a Venom that's like that, a normal Eddie Brock Venom. And now we're getting the Hot Toys Agent Venom. And just a little bit of lore for Agent Venom for those who don't know who this is. So Agent Venom is Flash Thompson, the bully that used to bully Peter Parker in the comics. And, you know, they grew up. Peter became a science teacher, and Flash Thompson became a military man. He became a soldier in the military, and he lost both of his legs. He's a double amputee. And at the time, the government had the Venom symbiote under wraps. They had it locked down, and because of his closeness to Peter Parker and all of the years of him interacting with Spider-Man, they chose him to be a candidate for the symbiote. And they bonded together. They became Agent Venom, which is kind of like a Punisher slash like Spider-Man type character, where he mostly uses guns and stuff, almost like Spawn. He's almost like a Spawn stand-in. But he also has the veracity and abilities of Spider-Man, which makes him a very formidable foe. Like, give Spider-Man a gun, he automatically becomes more lethal. But talking about the figure itself, these figures are usually fairly cheap because there is no likeness to sell. Robert Downey Jr. does not want his 15 cents for every figure that's sold. So you are able to get a not cheaper product, but a cheaper sell. I think this figure looks great. I think it's edgy. I think it's going to stand out on your shelf. And I think that it comes with a good array of things. It comes with a full weapons array with like a bunch of M4s, it looks like, automatic rifles, things like that. 2 interchangeable eyes, buzzsaw hand, tendrils out the wazoo. So you can really minimize or maximize a figure like this on your shelf, depending on the space you have. One thing about figures like this is that they're in that uncanny valley of where to put it. Where am I going to put this guy? Like, he's too cartoony to put with like an Andrew Garfield or even a Tom Hardy Venom. But he's not cartoony enough to put with like a Hono Wolverine or a comic book version of Spider-Man. So he's a bit of an odd duck. Kind of like the Beyond the Spider-Verse figures. You know, the Spider-Man 2099, the Miles, and the Spider-Gwen. So it's a tough sell for me. If I, will he, won't he buy this figure? Only because I don't have a lot of Spider-Man, minus the Spider-Man you see behind me and the Doc Ock. I just don't want multiple Spider-Man. If the right Tobey Maguire comes out, I'm going to retire that Tom Holland and just replace it with the better Tobey Maguire. Like, I don't need multiple Spider-Men. like I need multiple Batman or multiple Captain Americas. And mind you, I love Spider-Man. I'm just tired of the Spider-Verse. I'm just tired of there being 900 different Spider-Man. I just want a singular representation of Spider-Man in my collection with his rogues gallery. Well, I'll buy villains all day. You know what I mean? I'll buy Venom. I'm kind of tempted to get the Green Goblin. No space. But Spider-Men, plural, right? So I'm really torn about this one because I think it's a neat figure, and I think standalone he's cool, but I'm really big on pairing. I don't like my figures to stand alone. Like my Obi-Wan Kenobi back there, it irks me that he doesn't have a pairing yet. I don't know what to put with that thing. I'm thinking putting Ahsoka there as my Jedi representative, but it bothers me that he doesn't have a pairing. Even my 89 Batman stands alone beautifully. That figure plus a diorama is great, but would a Joker make it better? Of course it would. But this guy, I wouldn't know what to pair this with. Could you pair it with the comic Venom when it comes out? Sure, but why are there two Venoms? Even in the comics, you could pair this with like a comic version of Spider-Man, but it's such a juxtaposition of color where this thing is all black and the comic book version of Spider-Man is bright reds and bright blues. So I don't know. Darth Maul, but pair him with Darth Maul, you know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I love the different changeable eyes. I love the tendrils. I love the way you can the guns can be held in the tendrils. I like everything about this. I just don't know where I want it in my collection, dude. I just don't know. So I'm not telling anyone not to get this one, only because it looks like a slick figure. It looks flexible. Going back to what we were talking about, the Red Hulk, I don't see any joints on this thing. It looks pretty clean. Hiding the joints is one thing that Hot Toys does really well. Because this guy's battle armored up, it's easy to do so. My only worry is that with all Spider-Man figures, they tend to be a bit stiff. So I don't know how flexible it's going to be. And the first thing you want to do with Spidey figures is put them in a dynamic pose because it's Spider-Man. But with this, I would probably go with like a pose on the bottom left, where he's kind of like in a bounce pose with the tendrils all splayed out, shooting gazuns. I think that's probably how I would flex him. Or maybe even the pose in dead center, where he's kind of like readying his guns, and he's like a stoic image, and he's not taking up so much shelf space. So, chat, do you have any questions about the lore of Agent Venom? Would you pick up this figure? How do you think it looks before we move on to our next slide? But my last thoughts about this guy, I think it would be a good part of your collection if you can get him where he fits in. But for me personally, this is a no-go only because I'm not a big Spidey collector, and he's just kind of like an odd duck out, sadly, until there's other figures that complement this particular version of the Lethal Protector. All right. I think this was going to be a bit controversial, but this is a release. This is finally, they're releasing the Barry Allen Flash from the Flash film. Oh my goodness. So there's so much about this figure that's weird. One, I'm so conflicted. I'm gonna be just, cards up. I want this figure. Cards up. It looks so good. It looks like what Hot Toys are supposed to look like, which is, I'm getting there, Bradley. Please bear with me. Let me cook. I want this figure, man, just because it looks so good, but everything around it is bad, dude. It's like everything around this is bad. I don't want to support Ezra Miller. I don't, because that guy is an actual menace. I don't want to support this film. Anybody who's listened to the channel knows that I hated this film. I vitriolically hated this film. But if I take this figure and put it in a white room, this figure looks damn good. I don't mess with Ezra, bro. I don't mess with him. I don't mess with anything he stands for. All that shit he did in Hawaii. That's why he's disappeared from the face of the earth. But man, let's go to the next slide so I can at least try to defend myself here. I mean, and it just sucks. Everything around this sucks because if the movie was good and Ezra wasn't problematic, this would be a no-brainer. But the truth remains, the movie sucked and left a bad stain on the MCU. Not the MCU, but the DCEU. It was the last thing they did, and it's just everything around it sucks, man. And yeah, it made you hate Flash. His face, dog. But the thing is that can you not tell me that is a good head sculpt? That it looks just like Ezra Miller? It's like the cleanest sculpt I've seen in like a long time, dude. He has multiple different head sculpts, rolling eyeballs, multiple different face plates for the mask. Even the eyes change. It fully lights up. It has a black LED so you can light it up. Fully flexible, lightning effects. Man, it's like, this is like dating someone you know is toxic, but they're fine as hell. You know what I mean? You can't do it. You just can't do it. No matter how beautiful they are. Everything about them is just bad news. But why for him? Because he was the star of the movie. Mind you, these figures were made months and months and months and months and months before any of that happened. What did he do? I didn't see the new Flash. Oh, it's a whole thing, Toots. So about Ezra Miller himself, he kind of went on like a kidnapping spree in Hawaii where he kidnapped a young girl and like was on the run from the law for like 3 months or something crazy like that. Beating people's asses, just being a complete menace. Look it up. I'm not making this up. But the film itself was just left a bad taste in everybody's mouth. It CGI'd dead humans without the family's consent. Like, he did way too much. Actually, the movie was just not great. You know what I mean? And it just left things in such a bad place with the fans and with collectors that it's just a lot of people just weren't feeling it. You know what I mean? And it just surrounded this figure. It's so much vitriol that it's hard to root for. You know what I mean? And it just makes it hard to want this figure. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I want it so bad because it looks great. Like, and I want Flash representation in my collection. But at the same time, it's like, I don't want to give this man any money. So it's tough, man. It's a tough sell for this figure. But that being said, will he, won't he, right? Would I buy this? Hell yes. I'm actually thinking about getting it because I want some kind of Flash representation in my collection because Flash is one of my favorite DC characters of all time. And what are my options, right? There's the Grant Gustafson Flash, which is A, hard to find, and B, seriously outdated. There's the Justice League Flash, which is just the same problem, but a worse looking figure proportional wise and just design wise. So it's like I have to wait until Gunn does whatever he's gonna do with the Flash film. So I'm kind of torn. I'm really, really, really torn. Bradley, I hear you, man. I hear you. But I'm just kind of, I just don't know. I haven't been this torn about a figure on this channel yet. Only because I just don't know what to do. It's tough. It's super tough. So at the end of the day, I want to get this up. I can't front. I cannot front. I want to. It just looks so good, but everything around it's bad, and it makes me feel like with a figure like this, because of the notoriousness of the source of everything around it, would it bring my collection down? I kind of would. So it's like when you're collecting, you have to think about the sum, the parts being better than the sum. So you can have a beautiful collection and have an eyesore there. Like, why is that there? You know what I mean? And it makes no sense. That's why when you curate your collection, you have to really think about the direction you want to go with your collection. So in this case, yes, would this look pretty on my shelf? Yeah, but it's gonna bother people. It's gonna bother me having to stare at this guy's face all the time. And it's my collection, so I'm gonna look at this more than anybody. So I can't. I want to get it, but I can't get it. I want to get it, but I can't get it. Only because I just gotta wait for a Flash to come out. Is the bottom line. I have to wait and be patient with James Gunn or whoever to do a good Flash film or TV show or whatever, so that can come out in 6 scale and look beautiful. You know what I mean? I just gotta wait. But is this a good? But in a white room, this is an excellent figure. This is an excellent representation. This suit looks better here than it did in the movie. The suit looks better here than it did in the film. Bradley, you're saying, wait, before I move on, did you have any questions, chat? I could kind of tell your thoughts on this thing, but does anybody else have any questions or thoughts or concerns before we move on until the next slide? But end of the day, Mike G's conflicted. I'm super conflicted with this one. I don't know what to do. I honestly don't know what to do. I'm not going to get it because I don't want to get anything around it. I don't want to get the Henry Cavill's Superman. I don't want to get the Ben Affleck Batman that goes with this. I don't want to get the Supergirl. I don't want to get the, so it's like, I don't know. It's rough. It's pretty rough. Everybody still there with me? Everybody's still there? How's everybody doing? Thanks for the people who are watching this. This is a live episode of the episode. I would have to explain it if you get it, right? That's what I'm saying. And just not to harp on it, but we got time. You have to curate your collection to where you're happy with it and to where it won't downgrade the rest of your collection, right? So it's like, if I love something enough, I don't care what anybody thinks. It's my collection. So if I want to put something in my collection, even though I know it's going to ruffle feathers, F them. It's my collection. I'm going to do whatever I want to do at the end of the day. But how bad do you want it? Mind you, these aren't cheap figures. This is an expensive hobby. So every time you buy something, it's an investment in your own enjoyment. So if you're not going to enjoy it fully at this big number, then why are you getting it? These things are effing. Some of these figures are like PS5 numbers in pricing. It's like, if you're going to get it and not be fully happy with it, or be kind of like mad with it, then why are you buying it? Like, even the Darth Revan I received as a gift, I love that figure. And a lot of people don't know who that character is. Does it bring down my collection? No, because I look at it every day and I'm like, man, that looks sick. My video game is right there, next to Darth Vader, the 2 most badass Sith Lords of all time. It's right there. And I get to stare at that every day, and I'm happy. But if you're going to put something in your collection that's not necessarily going to spark joy within you, then don't get it just to get it. This is the wrong hobby for that. Don't just get it to get it, because it's expensive and you're going to end up selling it or putting it in a trunk somewhere. I made that mistake with the Neon Tech Iron Man figures that are literally in my closet because they have no space in my collection. Beautiful figures, but just no space in my collection. Hey Toots, look at that little hand. Perfect. We're moving on to the next slide. All right. We're going to talk about another new release this week, and that is the TIE Fighter Pilot announcement by Hot Toys Studios. So this is a figure from the OG. I believe this is from A New Hope, I want to say. The squadron that went out with Darth Vader during the Millennium Falcon run to take out once the Death Star was blown up. About this figure, right? Full transparency, this would be an absolute no-go for me because I don't collect troopers. And I would consider this a trooper. There are some people, there are a lot of people in the collection, in the community that love troopers, and this is a no-brainer because, from my understanding, the community has been barking and screaming for this character for so long. You know what I mean? It's just one of those where it's like it's one of those they'll nevers, right? They'll never make a Darth Maul. They'll never make a Darth Revan. They'll never make a TIE Fighter pilot. Why would they? But no, look at him. He's here. With his looks like Darth helmet, about to go into ludicrous speed. As you can see from the image on the right, he doesn't come with a lot. A lot of what he comes with is on his person. He comes with a little pew pew gun. He comes with a very basic rectangular base, as well as a full array of hands. So he doesn't come with a lot. Going into the next slide, he does a lot of pointing and he does a lot of posturing. Guy has swag, you can't fight that. It would be cool. I would get 2 of these guys and put them right next to a Darth Vader. That would be sick. That would be a nice shelf. Like they're getting ready to go, board their TIE fighters. I would make them walking, like in a walking pose. Have Vader walking in front. Have these 2 in the back, like following Vader, like about to walk and board their fighters. That would be sick. If I was to get this guy, I think that's the idea that I would get. I would get 2 of these guys and make like a little scene that way. Clean Vader, 2 of these, knock it out the park. Let's talk about the figure. The proportions are a little weird. I think it's because of the giant head, man. The giant helmet, which is screen accurate, mind you. It just throws the proportions completely off. Yeah, Toots, I think this is a neat figure for those who are army building sets. Because a lot of people build sets, you know what I mean? So I think this would be a cool, like I said, diorama addition to, like, let's say your Imperial infantry. I like the design in the helmet. I like that you can see the Empire cogs on the helmet. I like the little Darth Vader box. I like that he has like the breathing tubes in there. Even though the proportions are a little strange, I do like the tailoring of it. I hope those gloves are leather. Probably not. And like I said, this is not going to be for everybody. It's not for me, just because I'm not that deep when it comes to the Star Wars line. As you can see, I only have 3 Star Wars figures. I got Vader, I got Revan, I got Obi-Wan. Still working on it. I may get a Yoda, and I need another Jedi representative. And that's going to be it. My other 2 shelves are going to be other movie stuff, because I want that shelf to be more variety. But this guy, I don't know. He's definitely for somebody, just not for me. What would sell this, and they'll never do it, is if we got a 1/6 scale TIE fighter. But how big would that be? Actually, like, how big would a 1/6 scale TIE fighter be if you could fit him inside? Mind you, this figure is going to be, how tall is this figure? Let me go back. Can't go back. How tall would this figure be? I think might be like 8 inches tall. What is it? 12 inches tall is how tall this guy is. So imagine that times like 4. You know what I mean? Just taking up an entire shelf. So I don't think that the average collector, or even newer collectors, are going to break their necks for this guy. But trust me when I tell you that this is also going to be quite the grail. You know what I mean? When it comes to, once he's gone, it's going to be tough to find this guy. Some troopers are like that. Some, stormtroopers are like that. And this is what people have been clamoring for. So yeah, final thoughts on this one. Is it going to sell? Hell yeah. That's why they didn't make it an exclusive. But is this particularly for Mike G? Not necessarily, because I just don't have the space, and I'm not too emotionally tied to this character. And that's another thing I want to talk about before we move on to the almost like topics that I have for the Nerdiverse. Being emotionally tied to a figure, I think, is one of the more important reasons to collect. Getting characters just to get characters, and it goes back to my conversation about just curating your collection. You gotta be smart about it, because collect what you love is, I guess, what I'm trying to say, and be decisive with your decisions. That goes for anything. So if you're 10 years old and you dressed up like this guy for Halloween, go nuts. You know what I'm saying? But start with the things that you absolutely love and that you can get your hands on. Like me, the 89 Batman is my grail. The 89 Batman is the star of the show. It is my favorite figure in my entire collection. Wouldn't trade it for the world because it means so much to me. It means so much to how I grew up, and what was important and what helped me shape myself to be a collector. The very first memory I have as a nerd is my mother drawing me 89 Batman standing next to the Batmobile. My father, Mike Prime, will tell you all about that image, and it's burned into my spirit. You know what I mean? So 89 Batman means the world to me. So that figure was an absolute no-brainer. I gotta get an awesome Akuma to start. There's some Street Fighter out there, bro. I just don't know if there's any Akumas. You know what you would look into? I don't know if it's 1/6 scale, but look for Storm Collectibles, bro. Storm Collectibles make really good 1/12 scale figures, which are like normal size action figures, but they have tons of Akumas and all of its different colors. You know, like the Shin Akuma purple with the yellow hair, like Super Saiyan. They got you. But 1/6 scale Akuma is coming. Pause. Yeah, you just gotta collect what you love. Be patient. This is not a Pokemon collection. You don't have to catch them all. If you balling like that, it ain't tricking if you got it. You know what I mean? But if you're a normal human like me who has, who doesn't make $1 million, be selective with what you want to get. Like my birthday's coming up. Happy birthday, Mike G. And what I'm going to get myself as a birthday gift is a 1/6 scale collectible, because that's got myself one last year. I'm going to get myself one this year. I don't buy them as frequently as I like to. You know what I mean? So I'm making a decision on what figure I want to get. And I have to be very smart about what I want to get, because one figure I want to get makes no sense in my collection, but I kind of want it. And another figure I get makes sense in my collection, but I kind of don't want it. So I'm kind of in a dilly of a pickle on that. So once again, before we move on to the next slide, as I always say, love what you collect what you love, be smart, and make smart choices with your money. Perfect. Now just some overall 1/6 scale news as we close out this episode. I knew this was coming, and with the rollout of the first 2 episodes of Daredevil Born Again, we talked about it briefly on MOTN Live Friday nights. Please watch MOTN Live. Toots, Wash, Mike G. We were talking about Daredevil, and I mentioned that I'm kind of excited for Daredevil 1/6 scale figures. And of course, the 1/6 scale lords heard my prayers and provided us with a tease of 1/6 scale Daredevil from Daredevil Born Again. Now, I'm of two minds of this. Tease. First mind, hell effing yes, let's effing go. I'm thinking of clearing a shelf just for street level Marvel characters. I want Spider-Man on that shelf. I want Daredevil on that shelf. I want a Punisher. I'm hoping that we get a Punisher from this line. I want Kate Bishop, Hawkeye. I've been wanting a street level shelf since I started collecting, but the pieces weren't all there. There's a third-party Kingpin that I super want. I want street level, man. And I hope that the show does well, which will facilitate Hot Toys to give us a full line of Daredevil figures. And who would that be? So, there's speculation, right? I think we're going to get this suit, which is a proto suit. I think we're gonna get a end of the series, end of the show, end of the show. New suit with the DD, with the double D's on the chest. Because these shows always give you a secondary suit. So I'm gonna wait, and that's part of my second point. I think we're gonna get White Tiger. I know we're gonna get Bullseye. Ooh, I want Bullseye so bad. For those who don't know, Poindexter is the GOAT. Bullseye is one of those villains. He's Joker levels evil. He's just evil to be evil. And for those who watched the first episode of Daredevil Born Again, you're getting a taste of that. So for my villain, I want Bullseye. Definitely want a Kingpin. I would love an official Hot Toys Kingpin. And whoever shows up in this series. I'm hearing Jessica Jones is going to show up. I'm hearing that Luke Cage is going to show up somewhere in these episodes. Yeah, double D's on the chest. Ain't no other way. So I will only, and for those who know Mike G, I will only have my devils with double D's on the chest. So I'm waiting out the double D because that is true Daredevil, and I hope we get it. I hope we finally get it. And Daredevil's another one of those characters that was always talked about in the house. My dad loves Daredevil, DD, you know. And he would show up in cartoons like Spider-Man and Fantastic Four, and he was just always this cool hero, you know what I mean? Just always cool, like Doctor Strange back there. Always just a cool action figure that I used to love. So Daredevil, getting a 1/6 treatment. To my second point, I gotta be patient. I don't think I'm gonna get this one. I'm gonna wait for the show to end, and hopefully we get a final swing like suit. Ah man, now you're taking it too far, Bradley. See, I was trying to be coy with the joke, and you just drove it off the roof. You drove it off the Mulholland Drive there, buddy. But I respect it. I will never not respect it. But is this good for Hot Toys? Should we be excited? Yes, because so far so good with the episode. As you can see, interesting. If you look at this picture, the mouth sculpt is not bearded. And if you watch the show, you know that during this scene, Matt has facial hair. He has a beard. So it makes me think, okay, is he going to shave this down at some point in the series? Probably, to make it more comic accurate. But me personally, I am waiting for the final swing. Last episode, double D's. Gotta have them. I want to hold this character in my face. And they have the double D's and just shake them. Say, this is mine. Enough of the joke. All right, yeah. Daredevil's gonna rule. The show is already ruling. I want more figures from this. Give me villains. I want. Okay, ISO on Mike, even though I'm the only one here. Give me Bullseye, please. I want Bullseye with a ton of guns and weapons and pencils and size. I want a loaded up Bullseye. From my mouth to God's ears. Any other questions about this one? Chat before we move on to the final talking point of the evening. Your thoughts on the series? Have you watched Daredevil? Do you think that this figure will be good for the collecting as a whole? Why wouldn't it? It's freaking Daredevil. It freaking rules. Yeah, I gotta be patient with this one. So I'm gonna hold on. Last topic of the evening. This is a bit of an older topic, but since we've been having technical difficulties, I haven't had much of a time to talk about it. Like, what Bullseye suit though? The one that's in the show. I'm happy with that. It's not comic accurate, but it's show accurate. And if I have a Daredevil that's show accurate, then I don't mind having a Bullseye that's show accurate, like the one he wore in the first episode with the ski mask and in the bullseyes on his wrists and the purple and black suit. Yeah, let's go. Give him a bunch of guns. So This is interesting. So, this is the TVA jacket Wolverine that was announced almost like 6 months ago. It was announced around the time when Deadpool and Wolverine came out. When this first came out, or was first announced, it was a shirtless, seamless body Wolverine. Fully seamless. It looked crazy. It didn't look real. Only seams that you saw were on the wrist. A couple of months later, like now, Hot Toys updated their images to only have him wearing the jacket fully zipped up. 2 different styles of jacket display, right? Which makes me think they couldn't pull off the seamless body, dude. They couldn't pull it off. We're not there yet, dude. Which is why the Red Hulk wasn't a seamless body. I think they bit off more than they could chew. And the reason I wanted to bring this up as my final thought was just a matter of setting expectations. I think one thing that's problematic in this community is that us as collectors have way too high of expectation. I think that we are not willing to compromise when it comes to the accuracy of these figures versus the functionality of them. Because what separates this from a statue is that this is flexible, it's malleable, you can change it. Rolling eyes, changing the arms, put the arms up, put the arms down. It's a real life action. It's a real life looking action figure at the end of the day. That's bigger than most figures. But at the same time, it has to function, right? It still has to work. So I think Hot Toys kind of quietly backing down is a bad thing. It's not, I won't count it as a net positive, but I think it's still honorable for them to at least try, you know what I mean? At least give it a shot to pull that off. And that may not even be the case. This figure isn't out yet. So we really don't know if you can remove the jacket and just have the seamless body, or what's it going to look like under there. Because they were calling this, Thirst Trap Wolverine? Because it was just him in that final scene from Deadpool and Wolverine, where he's completely jacked and the shirt's all ripped off with the mask. But this is like him totally covered up. So it makes me think that something happened, or it was just going to be way too expensive for him to be able to be jacket on or jacket off. Jack off. Oh, yeah, man, this episode's dirty. And just give him the jacket look, which is problematic only because a lot of people who pre-ordered this when it first was announced are going to want their money back, because it's like, this is not what I paid for. This is not what I signed up for. So I could see an influx of returns for this guy. So it's like, what do you do? And it's gonna be one of those figures that end up in the vault, you know what I mean? That never come out, right? Like the second Barry Allen, the Evil Flash. They had an Evil Flash figure that literally never came out. They canceled it. I think that this figure has a high probability chance of just never coming out. So we're gonna have to see. We're super gonna have to see with this one. I feel more positive than negative about this decision, because at least they tried. But at the end of the day, you miss 90% of the shots you don't take. So I'm not even conflicted about this. And plus, I was never going to get this figure anyway. But I just like to mention, as a kind of final reminder, just to close out this episode, I figured it out, that set your expectations with these things. They're not going to be perfect little humans on your shelf. They're still, functional figures that need to move and bend and go into all the little poses you want to put them in. So please temper your expectations on these. That being said, some of these exceed expectations. Like the Obi-Wan Kenobi back there, a lot of people were dumping on that because they didn't like the head sculpt. Oh, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look like Ian. Whoop de whoop. when I got mine, I was blown away. This figure looks amazing. So they sometimes exceed expectation. They sometimes lower expectation. But at the end of the day, it's up to you as the collector if you want to take a chance on a figure and bring it home. So with that, I would like to bring this episode of Figured It Out to a close. We have a couple of more seconds here, a couple more minutes. Everybody in chat, thank you for coming through. Toots, thank you for coming through. Jojo, thank you for coming through. Bradley, thank you for coming through. Talking me off the ledge of the Flash. Does anybody have any last questions, thoughts, concerns? And that could be questions about the figures that we showed this evening. That could be questions about the collection, my collection. That could be question about the community and how to join. Ask me no questions, I'll tell you no lies. We can use this last little bit of time to close out this episode. MOTN giveaways coming soon. I'm very excited for this. 2D Odin is working double, triple overtime to put together some giveaways for you, the Nerdiverse. We're going to be having a giveaway going very soon. And what's going to be the giveaway? We're going to be giving away a Mike G fig pen. A random select fig pen that's going to be yours. We're going to be giving away MOTN glasses that you see me wear on the show 9 or 10 times. We're going to be giving away stickers, MOTN stickers, to those who enter the giveaway. And all you need to do to enter the giveaway is subscribe to the channel, leave a comment on one of our lives, and that will enter you, and tag one of your friends that aren't following the channel. Tag a friend in a Facebook post and an Instagram post. Spread the love is pretty much what we're asking you to do, and that will enter you into the giveaway for a chance to win one of our grab bags. We're setting that up as we speak, so we will have more information on that in the future. I love doing Figured It Out. This is one of my favorite things to do. I love this community. I want to be more of a bigger part of it, and I thank you, the Nerdiverse, for giving me the opportunity to talk about the things that I love. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and close this episode out. Once again, thank you everybody who's come through the chat today and kept me company. I've, of course, been your host, Mike G. Love what you collect. Collect what you love. And we're going to be signing out. MOTN.